What is up, guys? Justin Millett here with the Aspire Realty Group, and I wanted to get on here and let's talk numbers about real estate in Alaska. Here is your August monthly update. Let's go. All right, guys, I know that everything you've seen in the news has been just chaotic and the market's crashing. It's not crashing. Anyways, I'm sure a lot of people are concerned, and most likely you have some questions on what the real estate market is actually doing. So let's dive into it on a local level first, and then we'll kind of cut the chase and then get to the national level and just kind of talk about what we're really starting to see as far as interest rates, home prices, of course, not just across Alaska, but as well as the rest of the country. You know, one of the benefits is here in Alaska, we kind of are a little out of the way, and our market is a tad bit different than what the rest of the United States does, right? So we're not really too concerned too much with what the rest of the economy is doing, as we kind of differentiate ourselves a little bit, and our economy is kind of somewhat secluded, but that doesn't insulate us fully. So let's dive into how things are going locally, and we are going to start off with Anchorage. And here are the stats for that. So right now, our average list price, okay, so this is the price in which people list their homes, not exactly all the time the sales price, but the price they're being listed, has actually gone up in July, right? So this is market data from last month, because obviously we're still in August. So from June to July, okay, we have gone up from $512,000 average list price to $541,000. Now, our average sales price has gone down from $480,000 in June down to $445,000 in July. Now, let's get into time on market, because I'm sure if you're a seller, this is one of the things you're going to want to know about, right? Which is June, July, no change. So we're looking at 11 days on market, or just a little over a week and a half on market for a well-priced home that's in decent condition, okay? Let me say that again. For a well-priced home in decent condition. Now, if you are asking for the moon and stars on sales price, or, let's be fair, your house is a hunk of shit, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to sell, okay? Now, we are also seeing is our inventory has gone down a little bit as far as homes being listed versus homes being sold. So we had 338 new listings in June and only 241 new listings in July. But we had 234 homes go into contract in June and 223 in July. So from our list to under contract, right, the amount of homes that were listed versus the amount of homes under contract, obviously that inventory tightened a little bit in July. So we're going into August, right, with a little bit less inventory than we were in July, right? And that's okay. Inventory is still doing somewhat decent. We are sitting at roughly 1 3/4 for actual inventory right now. We were as low as like 2 weeks back in March. So that's a good thing. Our inventory has gone up. We are normalizing the market, okay? Not crash, normalizing, okay? Now, let's get into Eagle River, because even though they're part of the Anchorage Muni, they're just a slightly different market in terms of just home prices, and it's kind of its own little niche area, okay? Now, right now, the average list price in the month of June was $485,000. That price has gone up to $549,000 in July, right? The average sales price, same thing. I'm thinking just because the amount of homes, or what has been listed, right, has gone way up, or just listed a lot of high-end homes, okay? So our average sales price went from $429,000 up to $505,000 in July, right? But the average days on market has also almost doubled, okay, went from 21 days on market in June up to 39 days in the month of July, okay? New listings for Eagle River in June was at 77 new listings, while July we are slightly down at 71. So just like Anchorage, from the amount of listings to the number of actual homes under contract or being sold, right, there was a little bit of a shake there. So we had more homes being sold in the month of, or under contract in the month of July, right? So it squeezed that inventory a little bit, right? So we're coming into August, not as much inventory as we did in July, but sitting at almost 2 months versus, like I said before, like 2-3 weeks of inventory, like we were in March, April time. So inventory is going up once again, not a crash. Okay, we are moving towards a normal market, okay? Now, let's dig into the Matsu Valley. So we're going to include Palmer and Wasilla in this conversation. Of course, different market with our neighbors to the north, but Aspire Realty Group, we do 50% of our business in the Matsu Valley, and about half our agents live out there. So anyways, the average list price, not our, but the average list price, right, was $458,000, right? In June, that price has gone down to $445,000 in July. Okay, the average sales price has essentially stayed the same at $398,000. I mean, it's like a $200 difference between June and July, but right at $398,000 is roughly the average sales price between both months. Okay. So average days on market has also increased by a full week from 20 days in June all the way up to 27 days in July. So that means you're sitting at almost a month on market for average days on market, right? So the expectation is if you list your home, right, average days on market is 27. It's no longer 3 or 10, right? So have the expectation that things are going to take maybe a tad longer to sell, okay? Now, let's break into the amount of new listings, okay? So the number of new listings has also declined, just like Anchorage and Eagle River, right? From 339 new listings in June down to 260 in July. And the percentage of the new listings to under contract has also tightened a little bit, just like Anchorage Eagle River, right? So the inventory has, as we're coming into August, has shrank a little bit, okay? But that's okay. Like I said, we are still at almost 3 months of inventory in the Matsu Valley, okay? So 6 months is what they call a fully balanced market, right? That means no buyer or seller really has the upper hand on that market, right? Matsu Valley is sitting at 3, and Anchorage and Eagle River are sitting between 1 3/4, and 2, right? So we are moving from that market of, things being sold in 48 hours. We're having only 2 weeks of inventory. Now we're moving in 2 to 3 months of inventory, right? So that is a good thing for buyers and really sellers, right? It's becoming a balanced market, right? So, this means more buyers are able to get into homes. I don't have to, not everyone can really afford $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over asking, which means that more buyers are available to make offers, okay? So even with interest rates rising, we're still seeing a lot of people jumping into the home buying pool, right? Because roughly 5%, 6%, these are normal rates, right? Historically, these are normal rates. Yes, we've been spoiled over the last 2 years with historically low rates, but right now, interest rates are hovering between 5 and 6% for well-qualified buyers. So what that means to you is check with a mortgage professional. Make sure, right, that obviously they're going to look into a lot of things that factor into your rate, not just credit and some other factors, right? But there's a whole slew of them, right? So, obviously, the rate is going to impact your purchase ability to buy a home and how much you can afford, right? So check in with a mortgage professional. If you have questions, right, or are looking to potentially get pre-qualified, we are happy to refer someone to you that we know is going to do a great job, okay? Now, let's break into some of the national data on a broader scale here, kind of like what the media, like national media news is talking about, because I'm sure you guys see it. Now let's break into the actual data, right? So NAR, the National Association of Realtors, just keeps track of a lot of stuff, right? It's their job, right? So anyways, but here's the current stats for June. They're still a little bit behind. They're not as, proactive as the MLS, but so they're still kind of working off numbers of June, right? But home sales has increased, right? And the median home price across the United States is at roughly $416,000, right? Now, across 4 of the major regions in the United States, home sales has actually dropped by 8.6%, okay? Almost 10%, right? Which is quite a bit. Part of that, interest rates are, impacting home buyers. But on top of that, I think there's just a little bit of kind of caution and, people kind of like taking a step back, seeing how the market's going to react. People keep talking about a market crash, market correction, all these things, right? So, of course, people remember 2008. They don't want to get caught in that, right? However, inventory is still majorly low across the United States, right? Still, no matter what, right? If you guys take inventory over multiple decades, over the last decade, we have produced maybe 10 to 20% of the homes, 10 to 20% of the 100% of homes that we should have, right? So we're still short, roughly, they say anywhere between 3.5 to 5.5 million homes across the United States. So inventory is really, really low, okay? Now, according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD for short, okay, purchase of new homes fell to its lowest pace since April 2020, right? Obviously, we had record low interest rates, so it made home buying very, very affordable, right? When you are literally half the percentage of what it is right now. Also, new home construction also declined a little bit in the lowest level in 2 years, which, it kind of follows the slowest pace of home purchases, right? So, obviously, builders are starting to feel the impacts of interest rates rise and supply shortages and the cost of goods all simultaneously rising. So it's putting a little bit of pressure on builders. They're slowing down a little bit. And, with all the talk about the economy, of course, they're going to pull back a little bit just to make sure that they're not putting too much out there to make sure they get homes sold. Now, inventory of homes across the United States has increased on average a 9.6% to an average of a 3-month supply of inventory. Remember, 6 months is average. We're still at 3 months, right? So still somewhat of a seller's market. And here's the good news, okay? On mortgage data, okay, is forbearance data is showing that we are declining to have basically a continuance of decline of forbearances on mortgages, okay? That just means that people are no longer needing forbearances. They're starting to go away, okay? And our national foreclosures is still super low, right? There's not a jump in foreclosures. There's, which is what we would typically see in some kind of market crash. However, people that have bought in the last 2 or 3 years, right, are able to sell their home more than what they bought it for. So that's kind of the avoidance of a foreclosure, right? There have been some adjustments in some really hot markets, right, such as like Boise and Austin and stuff like that, where they have some adjustments because, they were starting to see 20, 30, 40% increases in home prices year over year, right? And so they're starting to see some adjustments on some of those markets, with obviously supply and demand, right? So anyways, so there you go, guys. That's kind of all the current data. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, make sure to drop us a comment. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and of course, we'll see you on the next one.